Chapter 2. The body returns. The C-17 touched down just after dawn, its wheels striking the runway with a thud that rippled across the base like a muted heartbeat. Falcon Air Base rarely slept, but this morning felt different. Even the desert air seemed subdued, as if the land understood the gravity of what it was about to receive. A trail of heat rose off the runway, blurring the transport plane into a wavering mirage. Engines growled, slowing into their long, low idle. The massive aircraft rolled toward the ceremony line, where rows of Air Force personnel stood at attention, uniforms pressed, expressions locked into something between grief and disbelief. Sergeant Talia Cruz stood in the second row. She hadn't slept since the crash. The explosion still replayed behind her eyes, a loop she couldn't break. The fireball blooming upward, the metallic shriek of tearing wings, the whisper embedded in the static. She hadn't told a soul about that last part. Not yet. But she saw the doubt in others. Something had shifted in the base atmosphere. Everyone felt it. The C-17's cargo door opened with a hydraulic groan. Silence fell. A coffin, draped in the American flag, glided forward on the mechanized platform, emerging into the morning light. Lieutenant Aaron Harlow was coming home. Cruz inhaled sharply. The flag moved slightly in the wind, clinging to the coffin's contours as though refusing to let the air touch it. Two airmen stepped forward, white gloves immaculate, shoulders tense. Behind them marched the honor guard, boots striking the tarmac in perfect unity. But perfection today felt unnatural, almost forced. A whisper began in the line. He didn't eject. Why didn't he even try? They say he tried something impossible, something no one's written in the manuals. Harlow wouldn't mess up, not him. Then what did this? Not what. Who? Cruz kept her eyes straight ahead, though her jaw tightened. She could hear every word. Rumors traveled faster than sound at Falcon. She hated how quickly whispers turned into explanations, as if the airmen were desperate to fill the silence before the truth had the chance to land. The coffin descended the ramp. Colonel Kane stepped forward, posture crisp, face unreadable. His eyes were cold stone beneath the brim of his cap. Kane was a man who controlled chaos, shaped atmospheres, decided what mattered. Today, standing in front of Aaron Harlow's body, he looked as though he had already filed the paperwork in his mind. Cruz felt anger prick through her ribs. Harlow deserved more than the expression of a man attending an administrative briefing. Major Dean Harlow appeared then. He broke through the crowd like a storm tearing across a field. Taller than most, shoulders squared, jaw clenched so hard the muscles trembled. He moved with the precision of a man fighting to keep himself from detonating. Cruz swallowed. She had seen grief on bases before, but Dean's was something else. He looked like he'd been cut open from the inside. Like the loss hadn't just taken his brother, it had stolen a part of him too. He reached the coffin just as the honor guard halted. A long, exhale-heavy silence hung over the runway. Dean didn't touch the coffin. His hands hovered inches away. He looked down at the flag, at the weight beneath it, and for a moment his chest caved inward, as if someone had pressed a fist against his heart. "Dean," Colonel Kane said quietly, stepping closer. "We will get answers." Dean didn't turn. "No, sir. You'll give answers." Cruz almost flinched. Kane froze, mask unbroken. A few airmen exchanged nervous glances. No one talked to Kane like that. Not out loud. Not unless they were prepared to face consequences. Dean finally withdrew his hand, straightening. His eyes were red-rimmed, but there was no weakness in them. Only a simmering fury, controlled by willpower alone. "Permission to accompany the body to the mortuary," he said. "Granted," Kane said, voice even. Dean followed the coffin as it was lifted and carried toward the waiting vehicle. Each step looked deliberate, measured, as if he was restraining the urge to break into a run and collapse onto the metal box holding what was left of his brother. When the vehicle door closed, Dean paused. His back rose and fell once, hard. Then he turned sharply and walked away. Not toward the officer buildings, not toward the hangars, toward the crash site. Cruz watched him go. Her instincts screamed to follow. Not for comfort, not for pity, for the truth. because Dean Harlow was walking like a man who already knew something was wrong, something deeper than a malfunction. The ceremony line began dispersing. Airmen drifted into small circles, whispering again. He didn't lose control. Someone jammed him. What about the static? Did you hear it? It wasn't static. That was a voice. No one is stupid enough to say that out loud. Cruz turned sharply, staring down the group that had spoken. They fell silent immediately. Her reputation carried weight. She was the engineer who caught faults before anyone else saw them. The mechanic pilots actually trusted. She also had zero patience for gossip planted to distract from facts. But today wasn't gossip. The fear she saw in their eyes was real. A shadow crossed the runway. Cruz looked up. Colonel Kane was watching her. Not the group. Her. His eyes were sharp, calculating, almost dissecting. He had that look commanders got when they sensed a variable slipping out of containment. Something inside Cruz locked up. She gave a quick salute and turned away, but her pulse raced. She knew what that look meant. Kane didn't trust her. Worse, he saw her thinking. And Kane did not tolerate free thinkers on his base. As the personnel cleared, the runway seemed to stretch endlessly in both directions, heat waves rising like ghosts. The smell of burned metal from the crash still lingered in the distance. The horizon carried a faint line of black where the wreckage had not yet cooled. Cruz exhaled slowly. She knew what she had to do. She walked toward the hangar, each step faster than the last, determination overtaking the weight of grief. If she didn't check the maintenance logs, the radar reports, the ATC tapes, someone else would erase them first. A low rumble drifted across the desert floor. The desert hum. It vibrated through her boots. She stopped walking, turned. In the distance, the wreckage glinted under the rising sun. The hum grew louder, almost like breath. And she wondered, not for the first time since the explosion, whether Falcon Air Base was haunted by secrets long buried, or by something far older than the men who commanded it. She whispered to herself, voice barely audible. "What did you hear up there, Harlow?" The desert answered with silence. But the hum lingered. And Talia Cruz understood the truth clearly for the first time. Whatever killed Aaron Harlow wasn't finished yet.